Good morning, everyone. So today we're here to talk about education, which I think has been a topic off and on in business and sales circles for some time. I think we've all seen a lot of big headline news of late where some really large reputable tech companies have dropped requirements for even having a bachelor's degree to be considered for individual contributor, even entry level roles. And 5, 10 years ago, the assumption was that have any opportunity to enter any of these companies, a BA was a must. I'm personally supportive of relaxing education requirements, and I feel like one of the things I've seen over the years is there's not necessarily a correlation between the degree someone has and their ability to execute any given role. Writing, communication skills can be developed in a lot of different contexts. But moving from discussions on the value of a BA, we're here today to talk about the value of MBAs. I think at least one of us is married to someone who just got an MBA. Congratulations to your husband, Krissy, on that front. But the question for you all is, and we've all talked to job seekers as well who've asked us about what we've seen in our capacity as managers. How does having an MBA impact one's ability to execute in sales and go-to-market roles in a business? Are you all seeing that MBAs correlate with higher level of skills, with faster promotion tracks, with better abilities to analyze data? Curious what you're all seeing in terms of the value of an MBA in kind of the B2B tech world in general, but specific for the kind of go-to-market roles that we've helped hire for and support.
Yeah, I think the short answer is for entry and mid-level positions, I don't see any correlation between having an MBA and getting a stronger look from hiring managers, or having an MBA and being able to negotiate a compensation package higher. I also think similarly for someone that's still in like an IC or first line leadership role, I'm not seeing MBA as a requirement. I mean, it's going to be a requirement for some C-level folks or very specific non-go-to-market motion roles that we can all appreciate. But I think for the average candidate in an individual contributor role, an MBA is always a nice to have, but correlation between the cost and the time spent to get the MBA, I don't see in my limited scope on a day-to-day basis that equates to higher earnings, especially early mid-stage career individuals. I was speaking with a pre-sales engineer for a SaaS startup, and they're considering going back and getting their MBA. So we had a deep conversation about it, and his company's willing to pay roughly like 50% of it. So for him, it's a great set of skills he can learn personally while he goes and gets his MBA, but it's not guaranteed to get him a promotion at work. It's not guaranteed to move him to the next comp tier. It's not guaranteed to accelerate his ability to move into another leadership role. So, we kind of talked through the pros and cons of that, and that's how this topic came to be. So we settled on, it's great experience for him personally, and longer term, it may open a door somewhere, but it will not near term increase comp or acceleration from a promotion standpoint. If anything, it's going to make his life more stressful, right? As he's now trying to balance a full-time job, a budding family, and now going and getting his master's. So the short answer for me is no, especially in today's market. From where I sit, I don't see a correlation between getting your MBA or having an MBA.
Matt, in your capacity as a recruiter, do you typically call out if a candidate has an MBA in your submission, if it's for like a senior account executive role or a corporate AE role?
If the industry's related, like if we're doing something in MarTech and somebody's got a master's in some level of marketing, like international marketing or international business, then I will, if there's correlation between industry or vertical. But if it's just a master's of BA and they're applying for any sales role, I typically don't call it out. Most individuals have MBA in their title somewhere on LinkedIn or on their resume, so there's really no need to flag it out. Even when I see individuals with an MBA and they're applying for very entry level roles, for me it doesn't swing the needle in the least. I would rather have somebody who's got 2 years of actual sales or customer success experience over an MBA. Personally, I think that's our clients want somebody that's had real world experience for most entry level or more junior positions than somebody who spent an extra 2 to 4 years getting an MBA but doesn't have the practical real world experience.
Yeah. Krissy, I have thoughts on that, but turning over to you, what's your point of view on this?
So, I don't think there's like a black or white answer here, right? I think it depends on let's like even talk about like let's get like a little bit more specific and talk about like like the tech industry, right? And sales and that matter. So my husband has 4 weeks left, probably, 2 or 1 once this actually publishes. Thank you, Lord. But so there's two things. One, I think anyone considering their MBA, if you do it, the one piece of advice I would give, just living with someone who's getting it, is that, and also having friends that have gotten it, if you have this expectation that that means you beat out other people for jobs or you get paid more than other people, you are going to be disappointed. And I've watched people like, how did you get that job? And you're getting this, like and it's like, I don't know who told you that, but like, that's not the way that it works today in like just every case. And I think there might've been a time, I can't even speak to that because I don't think I was working fully then, or if it was very new to the industry, I wasn't hiring people, where that mattered more, but I would remove those expectations. Now, I think even in sales or business, an MBA can help you depending on where you were at and your company. So, for example, it's not a huge portion, but my husband's company does pay for some of his MBA, which means that he is known at the organization for getting it, right? And anyone who has gotten an MBA, especially not like after college, but like where you're working full time, let alone if you have a family, like there's just a level of respect there that is like, holy shit, that's a lot of work, right? Like we're in year 3 because we couldn't do 2 years with both of us working full time with 2 little kids. It would have like destroyed us. So I think that it gives people, like, you get a little bit more of an eye on you in that sense from your company, and they're investing in you. So they are going to be a little bit more, from what I've seen, this is not everywhere, but like that other company is 50%. They're probably going to be more inclined, like, we invested that in you and we now want to raise you up. So I think that's where an MBA can be really valuable in the business world. Sales, post-sales, whatever it is if your company is paying for some of it, they want to get a return on that investment and level you up a lot of the times. And you get noticed. Like,
Right.
There are things that my husband is getting noticed for, and that I think might have been more challenging, or he might have been looked over without that, because it brought people to him to have conversations that I'm not sure would have happened. So I think that's a benefit. But the second thing is I think those are the benefits. Now, going back to Matt's point, like, I don't know that you, like, if you have working experience, I don't know that you're going to like learn so much more from an MBA. Like, okay, now I'm just like ready to be an executive. I think it does help with, like, I will say, like, it helps give you a better understanding of just how economics work. Because no one really paid attention to that intensely in school, or a lot of people, I should say. And so you get a better understanding of like all the positions of like financial, and economics of business and just in general. And then also get in like helping people become more influential and driving those conversations. So I think those are like the biggest takeaways that won't necessarily come from you having MBA in your resume, but will come from pushing you outside of your comfort zone to ask for that help. And I think my husband is someone, like, we're very different. Like, I'm like, I always say, like, I'm my biggest cheerleader. So like, I don't need anyone to cheer for me. I'll cheer for myself all day. He is not. And so these things push him to be his own cheerleader. So I think from what I've seen in my, again, limited view, that's where I think an MBA is valuable now. And I do, when I see people have an MBA, I do look at it a little bit differently, because I know how hard it is, just, again, having gone through it, supporting someone, right? And seeing like all the late nights. But at the highest level, I think it depends. And those are some areas that I've seen where it can be helpful, but you still have to be strategic. Just because you go and get your MBA doesn't mean like there's this blanket, you get paid more. If it comes between you and another candidate, you're going to be the candidate. In fact, sometimes people can have biases for MBAs when applying to new jobs. They can be like, they're going to want a ton of money because everyone knows how expensive it is to get an MBA.
Right.
So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, actually, your last thought kind of segues into how I want to close this one out. I'll share a little bit of a story and just kind of my point of view, and it's partly shaped by my experiences. So I don't have an MBA, and I haven't studied business in a college setting at all, but I do have a doctorate in history, which was prior career path plan of mine going back many years. And my experience, as someone who has an advanced degree in the business world, I actually found that to be often more of an impediment to being successful and to getting new opportunities than
Yeah.
it's something that helped me. And I remember explaining to my mom that kind of PhDs were sort of more a subject of like ridicule and mockery than of like advanced thinking or writing skills, right? And that's unfortunate, right? I think it was a lot of work and contribution to my discipline, and I'm proud of the work that I did. Now, do I think it should give me a leg up on other candidates for GTM roles? Absolutely not. I mean, it was a very different line of work or line of inquiry, however you want to refer to it. But I think it did highlight and hone some skills around thinking and running research and learning how to present to others. So I think there's a way to, from an interviewing perspective, there's a way to be open and curious about backgrounds that can range from, GEDs or PhDs, right? And really staying focused on what are the skills and behaviors that you need, and giving candidates latitude and discretion to show that. And I'll point to where I actually developed that appreciation myself, goes back to my time in graduate school. I had an opportunity to archive the papers of a famous historian at the university who had passed away before I started. And he had correspondence. He was sort of a public figure, and he had correspondence that went back many decades. And my job as archivist was to organize all of his papers, including letters that he received from his readers. And back in the day, like a lot of people who were more well read than they are today, including people who did not have college degrees. And I remember just being struck by the quality of the writing and the thoughtfulness of these letters that were coming from moms and young people who were either still in school or retired and did not have degrees, and often mention that in the letters, and thinking, I wish I could write half as good as these people, right? And so that's probably another topic altogether on kind of the decline of writing and thinking skills in our society. But I do remember for me it was eye-opening to see examples of how people from different backgrounds and different social classes communicated and thought, and really made me appreciate that there was a certain level of privilege that afforded me that opportunity to go to graduate school that did not necessarily correspond with my own skills. So keep an open mind would be my guidance. But I thought that was a great conversation. Krissy, congrats to your husband on being almost done with that master's degree, and appreciate you all coming on our show.
Thanks, you all.
Bye, everyone.